Hello everyone, how you doing? It's James and Adam here from Goldbusters.
Hi, how you doing?
Good to see you all on this fine evening. Well, it is in the UK anyway. So just before we get started, then we have to go through all the usual stuff like the disclaimer. I can see people waving. We have to go through the disclaimer. Okay, we're all about financial education. We're not financial advisors. We've never wanted to be financial advisors. We don't believe in financial advice. We only give education and we make people financially aware. They can either take it or leave it. We just show people what we do, and they can either take it or leave it, like I just said. So we have to say this every time, guys and girls. All right. We won't ever give you advice. Sometimes we have to restrain ourselves from giving advice. It's easy to start giving advice, but we don't do it. All right. We just give you direction and show you what we do. So thanks for your time. We have to say this every time because I know that people's time is so valuable. It isn't money this is what we believe. It isn't the money that's valuable, it's the time. It's the time with your family. And that's why we like to help families, because if you help families get to a financially secure place, so they're financially independent, then that buys your time back. I know this because I've done it for myself and my own family. So Adam and myself are just passionate about helping people like yourselves, helping you do the same thing for you and your families, and passing that education on to your kids. So what I'm saying is just time is valuable, and so we really appreciate your time being with us tonight, because you could be doing so many other things than being here looking at Adam and myself, you know. So tonight we're gonna touch on inflation. Our inflation calculator that we've put together for you. It's really, I'll tell you, one of the main reasons we did this, because we're very honest, Adam and myself, we just say it as it is. We did this to try and get people off the fence, because so many people we speak to, they learn this stuff, but they stay on the fence. They're sat on the fence. And what happens when you're sat on any fence? It hurts your backside. It really starts to hurt if you stay there long enough. And people just sit on the fence and they miss out. They don't do anything. They don't take action once they've learned what we've taught them. So it's a bit of how do we explain it normally, Adam? It's a little bit of
love,
pain, really.
Tough love.
Showing people the pain of how much money they would lose, because pain motivates people from our experience. It's either pain or pleasure, but I think the pain motivates people to get off their asses more than anything else. So we've put this inflation calculator together so you guys can actually put the details in there of how much money you've got sat in a bank. Naughty. How much money you've got sat in a bank and how much money you're losing year after year after year. How much money the system is taken from you from having your money in a bank. So that's why we put it together. And then we're going to go straight into the questions and answers, because there's lots of questions. So we want to get them all answered tonight. Adam, let's go.
Perfect. Yeah, just to say as well, if you've got any questions as we go along, please get them in the chat section and we'll get to those as well. So we just want this time, the reason we put these times together is just for you to suck as much information out as we can. So yeah. On the videos that we do with Charlie and the ones we put on our channels, it's us just kind of giving what we think you want to know. And then we chat with people as well. But what we also want to do is answer the questions that are important to you. So please put them in that chat section. Right, let me share my screen and we'll go over this inflation calculator, just so you can see exactly, as James said, what's going on. So I'll just zoom in here. So super simple. We've tried to make this as simple as possible, because as James said, when things are simple, you can do something with it. 2 boxes, that's all you've got to fill in. We've done the calculations. We, not to blow our own trumpets, but we put a lot of effort into checking these, double checking them, triple checking them, making sure that everything's right and giving you the right information. Yeah, and we're actually doing a video tomorrow with Charlie that drove us mad, if I'm being honest, with the calculations and making sure everything was right. You'll see that, check it out. We can massively help people with that information. So yeah, the inflation, all you need to do is put the number of pounds, shillings and pence that you've got in a bank account. So let's say, for example, someone's got £10,000. it works with any currency. We had a couple of people saying, oh, what do I do if I'm in Canada or in Europe? Or it doesn't matter. I mean, you've got the pound sign there, but that can be interchangeable for anything. The important thing is the numbers behind it. So this can be $10,000, pounds, euros, yen, whatever. So 10,000, and then you put in here the interest rate that you are currently getting. And I'm sure it's a very low number. No, none of us are being amazed by the interest that we're getting. We always say it's not interesting to anyone but the bank, really, because they don't have to give very much out. It's not interesting to you. So let's be kind to the banks and say it's 1%. Okay, let's say you're getting 1%. And then what we do is we take an averaged inflation of 3%. And the reason we do that is there's people in different countries, inflation varies. A lot of people listen to the government. I'm sure most of the people here don't listen to the government on what they're telling us inflation is. They've got an agenda. They set out proposals and targets of what they want inflation to be. And then they have some degree of dictating what it is. So we don't use that. We use 3%, which is a very reasonable average. And the table then does the work for you. So it shows you what you would see in your bank account. And this is very important because inflation is like a hidden tax. It's like hidden in plain sight. And the number that you see in your bank account is not necessarily its true value. So at the end of the first year, you would see £10,100. And that's the interest element, the 1% on top of your 10,000. What it would be actually worth, so if we take the 3% off the 10,100, and this is what it's cost you. This is the pain column that James was talking about. This is where you really feel the pain. It's cost you £203 just to sit there. So it's cost you £203 to get 1%. Yeah, that's the reality of it. Okay, let's take, this is in year one. After year two, so your 10,100 has then gone through another year of, another cycle of interest and inflation. And the value would be 9,598, and it would cost you £401. So you can put your own numbers into this. I think more people are probably getting more like 0.5% maybe, in which the numbers increase. Let's say you've got 50,000. Yeah, the numbers start to get very painful very quickly. And yeah, hopefully this gives you some insight as to what's actually happening and the numbers that you are affecting your money. It's easy for us to say, yes, inflation's eating your money away, but when you can see it here, after 5 years at £50,000, you've lost nearly 6,000 in value. That's a very big motivator, or it should be, we think. You know, you work so flipping hard for your money, you trade your time and your life for it. Don't let it disappear. Don't let it just erode away from inflation. Please do something. That's our kind of impassioned plea. From all this information, do something. You might not want to buy gold.
Grandkids, get them taught this.
Yes,
please.
Yeah.
Please. You know, it's so important. I mean, I taught. Well, we used to do financial planning for families too, didn't we, Adam? And the reason we're showing you the numbers there, because people don't do anything about it until they see the pain, until they see how much they're losing on paper. It doesn't mean anything to them. We can talk all day to them about it, can't we, Adam? But until we used to sit there and get all the numbers and sit there for hours with them and sit down and do a plan and go through all their debt and how much interest they're paying and how much it's costing them. And they used to see the pain, they used to see how much money that they're losing over time. And they generally take action. But we haven't got time to do that now, have we, Adam? We really haven't got time to do these plans anymore.
No. I think the video that we're doing tomorrow will really
touch on that, aren't we?
highlight that. Yeah, because we give people a debt freedom date as well, which to say, look, if you do nothing, here's when you'll be debt free. Here's when you'll be mortgage free. Here's when you'll have spare cash. Or if you do something now, we can bring that massively closer to you and change your life in a dramatic way. So we want to get this information to you in as personal way as we can, but we, like James said, we can't sit with everyone, in everyone's home and go through it. So
it's really interesting though, Adam, isn't it, that how people react to it though, because I taught, because obviously most people know I'm ex-military. I taught an RSM, a regimental sergeant major, a little bit of financial education, and I taught him a little bit about the rule of 72, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow, compound interest. And I taught him about the return on investment, how to invest, how to get a return. But I got his little girl to come along. She's got 7 or 8, and she sat with us. She sat with us while I was teaching her dad, and I got her involved. And she learned this, and then her dad used to always borrow money from her piggy bank, and now she charges the dad 10% on that money. So she's starting to understand the value of money right from from a very early age, and he actually loves it, even though she's fleecing him. Every time he borrows any money off her, she charges him 10% return on it. So it's just interesting. If you teach your kids at an early age, it's just amazing what they'll pick up and what they'll do.
Sure. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get into some questions, because this is the stuff that you guys want to know.
Yeah.
So let's have a look here. We've been sent quite a lot of different questions. As always, some of the questions are more personal, and we'll get in contact with you individually. If it's, here's my situation, how can I kind of better myself or better my situation? We'll get in contact with you. But for more, I guess, less individual questions, we'll get them out in here. So, and
if we don't know something, we'll just say we don't know, but we'll get back to you. We'll find out. We'll just tell you. We're not going to make anything up.
Yeah, sure. So there's been a little bit of talk about, this will cover a few questions, so we'll just cover it as a bit of a bigger topic. Is I know Charlie's talking about a glint card. So this is a debit card that you can buy metals. You can kind of load metals onto it and spend metals. And the company that we buy from, people have asked, are they going to do a glint card, or does it kind of work together, or is that possible? Is it even a good idea? And I think here's just our opinion on it. And this is not to shoot down Glyn or any other company. Everyone has a different way of working it. Precious metals are about saving for the long term. They're a buy and hold strategy. And the money that we think you should be putting into precious metals is money that is unallocated for no particular purpose and would be sat in a bank for the long term. Okay, so all of those criteria, there's quite a few there. So unallocated, not for a specific purpose, and would otherwise be sat in a bank for the long term. Really good for precious metals. It's not the best for money that you would use for your daily or weekly shop. Don't put it in metals, because it needs to be a certain number. If you've got £100 food bill, let's say, or you've got your car insurance to pay, or whatever, something like that, and it needs to be an exact number, then there's no guarantee of those precious metals being that value at that point in time. We have to be honest here. We're not going to tell you it'll always go up and it'll always do this. It fluctuates. So for us, having been able to use your metals to buy your shopping and I guess weekly or monthly expenses, for us, it's not really the purpose of the metals themselves. Yeah, it's not really the purpose of the metals. So I quite like the fact that I do have to try a little bit to get access to my metals. There is a little bit of a barrier, not that it's unaccessible or inaccessible, but that you can't just go, boom, I'll just spend it on a card.
Because I'd come into that, Adam, too. Just to sort of reiterate, because we are in the process of getting a card ourselves still, aren't we? But it's not been a priority. It's been put down the priority list. Because I think we've spoke to a lot of customers, and a lot of customers don't want one because it's too easy to spend their money. And
Yeah.
like Adam said, this is a long-term thing. It's a long-term thing. Buying and hold. If you're just, because obviously it's just like anything. If you're buying a TV, you're paying a margin on that, aren't you? You know, and if you're just buying and selling all the time, if you're buying gold and selling it the following week, you're going to be losing. So, like Adam said, it's a buying and hold strategy. But if you've got a card, it sort of defeats the whole. To liquidate your gold there and then, fair enough. But otherwise, yeah, you keep freezing, Adam. It's just your internet, mate.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
back
back on
now.
now. So
I'm back.
I'll just talk. If you freeze again, if you go off, mate, I'll
Yeah.
talk.
You don't need
I'll
an
put you to
excuse, do you?
death.
Perfect. Well, yeah, that's other than that. There's loads of ways of doing it. Again, just our thoughts. So, okay. So there's people. Someone said that they live in Australia and they would like to invest and they'd like to use this 80 and 60 ratio for switching metals. That's definitely something that we can do. And we've actually made another video that we're going to be posting over the weekend about the switching. So switching between the ratios, the gold silver ratio is what it's called, between 60 and 80. And we'll be going into that into a little bit more detail and showing you how all that works. So it's a bit too big of a topic to just take up on a point here, but we're doing a video on it, and we'll probably do other videos on it because it really interests people, being able to trade metals and to be able to have an active part in their investment rather than just a passive part. So
and it makes a big difference, doesn't it, Adam?
Big difference. Big difference. Here's an interesting one, James. I'll let you answer this because you're a silver nut. Is silver as good a hedge against inflation as gold?
I'm a silver nut, but I don't think silver is a better hedge. I think gold is a better hedge. It's more stable overall, isn't it? It doesn't fluctuate as much. It's not as volatile. But when silver does go, it goes. And we've done a lot of research, haven't we? Hell of a lot of research into the future of silver. And it's the future of silver, in my view, in our view, actually, is a lot bigger than what gold is. And silver, well, we've done videos on this again, haven't we, Adam? Explaining the uses of silver and the future uses of silver. The main ones are solar power and electric cars. And yeah, well, I bought another 5 kilos just last week, was it, Adam? A week before? And I'm just in the process of buying another 5 kilos. Yeah, so I get it when I can. Silver more than gold. Silver more than gold. But yeah, I think gold's a better hedge. But I actually personally buy more silver because I think silver's got a bigger future. And it's still cheap, I believe, compared to where it's going to be in the future. Again, we haven't got crystal balls, and we don't go pretending that we do. We just tell people what we do and what we believe. You know, does that help? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we look back through the data, there's kind of three economic seasons, if you like. There's inflationary, deflationary, and stagflation. So kind of good times, bad times, and ugly times. And gold historically performs well throughout all three of those economic seasons, whereas silver performs well through most of those, but not all, not as well. So gold is more of a, like you say, James, a wealth preserver. It's more consistent in its performance, but obviously silver's got its uses and its performance as well. So it's not either or, it's not one versus the other. It depends what stage of life you're at, what you want in your investments to do. And then
we do both, don't we, Adam? We do both.
Yeah, looking at it accordingly.
Yeah.
So,
and depending on the gold silver ratio, which is what we're going to go through over the weekend, that dictates how much gold we buy and how much silver we buy. Generally. I actually buy more silver at the minute.
Perfect. So let's have a look at some questions here. That's all good. So there's a lot of talk of people in the know, let's put it in quotations, selling their precious metals and putting money into crypto. What are your thoughts on this? Interesting that it's that way around. Yeah, James, you're into crypto as well, so tell us
Yeah,
your thoughts on this.
I like cryptos. I like gold. I like cryptos too. I'm a bit more of a, how do I put it, a virgin to cryptos. I'm still learning it, but I have held some cryptos for a couple of years now. I'm more the other way around. The money I make from cryptos, I put into precious metals. Not the other way around, really, because it still hasn't got the history, it still hasn't got the track record that gold has. And I know you can make some serious money in crypto, because I've made some decent returns in crypto, really decent, but it can be gone like that tomorrow too. So the money I make, I like to go, right, safeguard it, gold and silver, right, make some more money, safeguard it. I do the same on my property. So I've got quite a few properties dotted about the UK that I rent out. The income I make from that, precious metals to protect it. So I have the cash flowing investments, assets, cash flowing for me. Then the cash flow I get from them. This is just the way I do it. I then like to protect it in precious metals, because gold is just solid, isn't it? It preserves what you've got. At the end of the day, I don't have money in the bank. I put money from the bank into gold and cryptos and property, but gold and cryptos. Have I digressed again? No,
you're good. You're good.
I have to really keep track of myself, because I get so excited and get carried away. So just tell me, Adam, please give me a
All right. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Me, just so you know, me and James have a good working relationship where we're just very honest, and we tell each other to shush at it, when we need to. But it's how we get stuff done. So yeah.
Works well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
We haven't got egos. That's the thing. It's what the main thing for us is what's best. What works best. It's not about our egos. We put that aside. It's how we're going to be able to help people the best.
Yeah. Okay. So a question now: how will an independent metal-backed currency work for Joe Blogs? I guess for everyday people. Why will an independent, let's say, gold-backed currency work for just everyday people? What do you think?
What do you think of that one, Adam?
I think
we spoke about this earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I think. Look, no one knows what's going to happen in the future. I think a fully metal-backed currency, it will make things very different to how they are now if it goes that far, because there's only so much metal, and governments and countries have got used to printing so much money. They've almost got addicted to debt, because it's so easy for them to get. As soon as you back it with something, it becomes a lot more difficult to create more. You have to, pulling metal out of the ground and refining it, which is a very expensive process, just to have more currency in circulation is going to be very difficult for them to do. So I think the world, if that's the case, and people might know more about this than we do, but I think if that is the case, then the world will look different. I think, again, as with anything, when you look back through history, those that have been prepared and have had a bit of foresight with this stuff and have actively protecting what they've got and safeguarding it and being in control of it will be better prepared and be better set up. Those that, I guess, abdicate responsibility and hand it over to governments and whoever's running the show, then they're usually the ones that feel the most pain. So I guess in short, we don't know, but do what you can to protect what you've got now, and that should see you good in the future.
And just generally with everything, just try and take control as much as you possibly can of what you've got. There's so many people we speak to regarding pensions, and their pensions just losing value, and they've got no control over them pensions. They can't just do what they want with their pension. This is why I told the army to go. Basically, I took control of my pension. I was the only one ever to do it, and it was a bit scary for me at the time, but I did my research, spoke to the right people, and I took control of my pension. It's something that had never been done before, but I just used this system. But yeah, it was scary. But yeah, it's all about control. I'd rather have half of my savings, half of what I owe, but I'd rather, if I had control over it, then rather than own double the value of my investments and not have control over it. I think control is just what I'm saying is control over what you over control of your future is best controlled by you and not somebody else.
Yeah.
Because that somebody else doesn't look after you more than what you do. And I'm afraid, I will say this openly, I'll say it to everybody openly. If you think, or anybody else thinks, that any government is here to help you, then I think you're delusional. That's just my view. It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have to think that way. I honestly believe you're delusional if you think that any government is there to help you get to where you want to be. But everybody, most people put their future, put their lives in the government's hands and expect the government to come running all the time and look after them. You've got to take back control and look after yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going on again.
Good. No, it's all good. It's all good. I think just one little thing to add to that, what I always think is the opposite of in control is out of control, isn't it? Yeah. And nobody really wants to be out of control, especially not with your money. Okay, next question we've got is someone's asking, I think they're quite new to this, which is totally fine. Everyone starts at different places. What are the logistics of owning gold? So this is kind of an umbrella question with some other sub questions. So do you buy a gold bar and hide it somewhere in the garden? Or we've heard all sorts of hide it in the garden, under, digging a hole in the garden, burying it under the bed, under the pillow. Do you put it in a safety deposit box, maybe in a bank? Or is that a swear word, naughty word? Does it generate a monthly cash flow? And is it something that you can do on your own, or do you have like a broker or someone that would help you go through this? So let me go back to the first question. We can pick these off one at a time. So would you buy a gold bar and put it in a hiding place? Well, what we do is we don't necessarily hide it. I think it's important to say some people have a more apocalyptic view of life and of what's going to happen. And they think that, having the metal in your home and physically on you is the way that you're going to use it to transact, if/when, things collapse or things, the financial system breaks down, they're going to need to use this gold, use these coins or whatever to go and transact. I'm not quite at that end of the scale. I'm not at the other end of the scale either, saying the government will look after us and everything will be fine. I'm not at the apocalyptic view. I'm somewhere in the middle, and depending on what I read each day, I can be more one side than the other. It moves. But what we do is we have our metals secured, or 99% of them secured in high secure vaulting companies that are outside of the banking system. They are fully insured, audited, and properly looked after. It's not something that we can own the metals, fully own them legally, 100%, but we don't have to run the risk of having them in our home or large amounts in our home, because there's a security risk at that. And also you've got to think about when you want to sell them, who you're going to sell them to. It can create a few headaches with the investment itself. And what most people want, I'm sure everyone would agree, is they've got other things that they need to be doing in life, and they don't need to be worrying about all these extra things. So that's what we do. And that's worked very well for us for 5.5 years. We've helped a couple of thousand people do that. We're happy to chat to people if that's what they want to explore.
Yeah, I personally do both. I have some on my person, but most of it is in the vault. But I started out buying it and holding it, but then I started feeling uncomfortable having it at home.
Yeah.
So it just puts your family at risk. In my view. So you've got to keep stum about it and not tell anybody, really.
And that's the opposite of what you're wanting the metal to do as well. You wanted it to protect your family, but by keeping it in your home, you're putting them at risk. So it's
You can't
Safety.
get insurance for it. You can't get insurance, and even if you could, it would cost you too much money to insure it. And it
Yeah.
defeats the object, doesn't it? So
Yeah, safety deposit box. If you're taking money out the bank, don't then put metals back in a bank. That would it would be just the wrong idea. We think it defeats the object. We have heard stories of people giving metals to a bank, and the bank would not give them the metals back. They would give them the value of the metals, but they wouldn't give them the metals back.
they'll give them the paper currency back, won't they? But they won't. They'll give them the
Yeah.
paper version, but not the real thing.
Yeah. Precious metals don't produce. They don't have a cash flow. They don't produce an interest rate. That's not what they are. That's not what they do. They just appreciate over time. So that's it. Whereas
against inflation, aren't they, Adam? Basically.
Yeah, paper money depreciates, and precious metals over time appreciate. So they go up in value. So some really good questions there. And I think for just to make everyone aware, we had to hear this stuff so many times before we
sunk in.
Yeah, before it sunk in, on many different levels, from different angles and from different people. So you might have think, oh, I've heard these questions before, but actually to hear them again and to hear maybe a slightly different answer, or to hear it just a second time, it is really good. Let me have a look at the next questions. So someone talking about putting their funds into metals when they just as a interim. I'm really butchering this question. I don't want to give all their details away. So they've got some cash at the minute. It's for a purpose at the other end at some point in 2 years' time. And they're wanting to know, should they put it in metals between now and 2 years? And we kind of covered this at the beginning, but just to narrow down on this one specifically, in 2 years' time, you need cash to be of a certain value. So there's no guarantee in the next 2 years that those metals will be that value or more. No one can guarantee that. So what we would say is, if it's for something, keep it in cash, as we said. I just wanted to answer that specific question, and the person that wrote in for that, they will know it's for them. So that's good.
Yeah. Our motto, Adam, quite simply, our motto is, we do the right thing by you 100% of the time. It's got nothing to do with us. What we want is what's best for you. And it works really well for us because people come back to us. And we believe you don't need to fleece people to earn a living. You just really do not need to do that. And we just don't do it. We just say it as it is. But we do the right thing 100% of the time. But Adam actually interrogates you anyway when you get in contact with him. And we're saying that jokingly, obviously. But he'll ask you lots of questions and he'll find out what's best for you. And if what's best for you is not buying the gold, which is what we're going to be talking about with Charlie tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people come to us and they've got shed loads of debt that they're paying 20% on, 30% on, and they wanted to buy gold. It doesn't make sense. So we ask them lots of questions and we find out what's best for them, and we help to give them direction and not advice. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Great. So some of the questions I've just looked at, we've kind of answered them in roundabout ways. So the next one is, can we talk a little bit about platinum and palladium? So out of the four metals, gold, silver, palladium, and platinum, they're the two that aren't spoken about as much. I know far less about them than gold and silver. They're not as popular. They're more thinly traded, and but they have some quite interesting uses. I think, look, just to talk about the uses. So platinum is used in jewelry. So it is like gold and silver. I think my wife's got a platinum engagement ring, actually. Yeah, she has. Should know that. They are also used in industry. So I think it's palladium that's used in catalytic converters. So it's used there. And I think platinum is also used for, storing hydrogen or something like that? It like purifies, this is the holes in my knowledge, but it like purifies chemicals in industry as well. Someone will probably write in and say, oh, that's not quite right, but something like that. So it has uses in industry. What I would say as far as an investment is palladium and platinum have a similar performance history to on characteristics as silver.
Yeah.
So not as consistent as gold, but when they go, they pop and they can perform very well, but they can be a little bit more up and down. So I think if people have palladium and platinum as part of their portfolio, it's usually maybe 5% of each.
Yeah. That's all I've got. 5% platinum and 5%
Yeah.
palladium is what I put in. Yeah.
Unless people are, platinum and palladium kind of nuts and they love that stuff and they really know their stuff, then that's fine. But for most people, it's gold and silver, and maybe a little bit of those in the mix. Yeah, interesting one here. At what stage would you sell your gold and silver? That's not really something that we talk much about, but it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are, James. At what stage after the price has risen? And then a second question to that, what would you do with the profits?
Well, I'm just not selling. It's number one for me. Is my gold's going to be passed on to my family. And it's going to be put in the will. Well, it already is. It's in my estate, which is really good. And it's great. So I can just send gold to my family anyway, because they've all got gold accounts now through us. So I can just transfer it to them anyway, or somebody could. But if you were to sell, you just need to look at the price chart on precious metals, and if it's reached new highs that it's never reached before, that's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Okay, sell then. And then you could buy again at a low when it starts going down again. I like to buy when it's going down. I like to buy when it's going down a lot more than any other time. I'm just like, woohoo. But we don't really talk about selling. We don't think about selling so much because we don't need to. And I think that's another key point too. I think you've mentioned it already, Adam, but we say this to people all the time. Please only put money into gold that's unallocated. You haven't. Make sure you've got enough at home still for emergencies, like have an emergency fund or a spare tire. We used to say, Adam, didn't we? We used to explain it like a spare tire. Have a
financial spare tire.
Yeah. Just have a spare tire. Have enough, because you don't want to be selling your gold unless you have to. But if you put too much in the gold and you've got an emergency, you're gonna have to sell it. So I mean, if you reach new highs like it did, was it August, September last year?
Yeah, August 8th last year.
Yeah, it hit new highs, didn't it? It's come back down a bit since then, but that's the time to actually sell if you want to sell any. But it's really easy, isn't it, Adam, to actually see the path of gold and see the new highs and the lows and the. But we explain this too in our videos, don't we? A little bit here and there. We explain that it's maybe a good time to buy. We have to be careful what we say because we're not giving advice, but.
Yeah, I think the smart investors, when again it's observing the masses and doing the opposite, and when the markets go down, then the mass population are panicking and selling. But actually, as it's going down, if you understand the big picture, that's the time to buy. People are very eager to queue up outside a shop when there's a sale on, but not as eager to buy cheap precious metals when there's a sale on as well. And all the down means, when you understand again that big picture, is there's a sale on. You're getting it cheaper.
Just one more thing, Adam, too, just for everyone. We have got a way, actually. A hell of a lot of our customers use this for their pensions. So there's a way. We have a way where it's similar to a pension, but it's not a pension. You've got full control over it. Whereas in 20, 30 years' time or whatever, you can set the system up so it liquidates your precious metals and gives you an income once a month or whatever you want. It'll give you, I don't know, liquidate £1,000 a month or whatever. Yep. But we have got that most people, this is long term. It's really long term. It's like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's for your pension.
Perfect.
Pensions, yeah.
So someone's asked if they pass away, can their spouse have access to their account, their metals account? And the way that we do it, it acts just like a bank account. So that account is just passed on in a will, as James said.
Exactly the same way. Yeah.
You would indicate in your will who you want it to go to, Fortunately, I've only been through this process once with one of our customers, and it was very, it was very easy to do, and just follows the normal practice. So yes, again, this is a long-term thing. It's about your estate and your family benefiting, so it's something that you definitely should think about, but it's very easy to do. Next question here, we've got, when buying gold or silver, how do you know if it's genuine or fake? How do you know, James?
That's a good question. Really good question. Really good question. It's got to have the right markings. Again, we've done videos on this several times, haven't we, Adam? And yeah, it's such a good question, because even banks have got this wrong, haven't they, in the past?
Yep.
There's even well, there's evidence out there. We know for a fact that banks have got it wrong before.
Yeah.
So we only buy our metals from our metals. I need to speak proper English. I'm very lazy sometimes. We only buy our metals from LB&A certified refineries, Heraeus, and basically, if it hasn't got the right markings, you don't touch it. Please don't buy it off eBay. It's got to be LB&A certified and have all the right markings, otherwise don't touch it.
Yep.
Simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, someone's asking about tax here. So I guess, look, we'll answer this question, but just so you know, we're not tax advisors, and we'll say speak to an accountant or official tax advisor. So look, in the UK, the way that things work is there's no VAT, value added tax. And I was saying to someone earlier today, value added tax is only value to the government. It's no value to you. Okay, it's just value to them. There's no VAT on gold, but there is on silver, palladium, and platinum. But if you store silver, palladium, and platinum in something called a bonded warehouse, which is, I always describe it as a vault in a duty-free zone. It's not just an open warehouse. That makes it sound
it sound that way.
Yeah, it sounds less secure, but it's a vault in a duty-free zone. Then you don't pay that tax. And if it's done all right, then you don't actually ever have to pay it.
Because we've had people in the past coming to us wanting like 5 kilos of silver, but they want it delivering, but they haven't understood that, they didn't know this. So obviously we always explain to them, say, look, you can have that, of course you can, but you'll have to pay 20% on your VAT. And if it's kept at the vault, then you can buy and sell it, and it doesn't have to leave the vault, which means you've just added 20% more silver onto your pot. So it's a key point, Adam, isn't it? It's 20% in your pocket rather than in the government's. Yep.
So someone's asked here, I'm interested in your thoughts on this, James. How much would you buy per month to grow your wealth for the long term? So how much would you need to buy?
Well, it depends on what your number is, your end point, isn't it? I mean, we used to do this when we did the financial planning again, didn't we? We used to we work out what a person would need to live off this amount of money. We used to ask them how much money they wanted to live off per month in 20, 30 years time. We used to factor in inflation, didn't we? So if it was £3,000 a month to live comfortably, our calculations would work out what that pot would need to be. So a person needs to work out what their pot is going to be, what they feel their pot needs to be, the size of their pot in the future, and work out from there, don't they? Work it backwards.
Yeah.
Factor in inflation and everything else. Well, inflation, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the easiest? I mean,
it's very individual, and I think that's a really good structure to.
But there's calculators online, isn't there, Adam, that help people actually work this out. There is calculators you can actually use to work out what you would need to retire on, so then you can go from there.
What I would say is, out of us doing this for 5 years or more, that the people that do, I guess, the best with this is it's amounts that is interesting to you. We've had people before that have said, I'm just going to do, what's the minimum? I'm going to do £10 a month or something like that. That's fine. £10 a month to one person can be a lot of money. £10 to someone else can be not a lot of money. And people that have done really small amounts, or not really small, that's not the right way of saying it, amounts that aren't interesting to them, at the end of the year or the end of 2 years, they've said, oh, I'm not going to carry on doing this because it's not doing anything. The metals have performed just at the same percentage as everyone else, but it wasn't interesting enough for them. It wasn't amount that was interesting. You know, if they've got, let's say per year they're saving £100 a month. If that £100 over the total year, if that £100 triples in value to £300, which would be a fantastic investment, it's still not really got their attention. So for everyone, I can say pretty much everyone that started investing and stopped, which has not been that many over 5 years, it's been for that reason. It's not been interesting enough for them. So make sure that it's working you towards the goal you want, but it's also got your attention as well. And that number is totally unique and individual.
I mean, most people that approach us are people that are wanting pensions. That's the main thing. And also grandkids, actually. Grandkids, a lot of people are, and for education for the kids. I mean, I set my account, the account up for my little boy. I've got a little boy, he's 3 now. I set his up when he was 2 or 3 days old. So he's buying silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. Well, we are for him. So by the time he's 18, he's going to have a right little stash. So, but yeah, it's. I think is anybody else? But they're the main reasons, aren't they, Adam? And it's security. It's security. I mean, for me, it isn't even the growth. For me, it's taking back control. Because we've gone through this on videos with Charlie, we've explained the bail-in laws and the bailout laws and the insurance and all this. We've gone into how legally your money is not your money in the bank. So why would you have it in there? Through the dawns, but you know, it's they've been printing that much funny money. What is that? What does that do to our economy in the long term? Again, what does that do? It doesn't do us any favors. History has told us it does not do us any favors. It just devalues the laws, and now they've got bail-in laws, like I said, and they can freeze your account. They can freeze your money. They can restrict your money. They can do whatever they like. I've looked this up myself. I've looked up all the terminologies and the legal side of it. And as I said, it's legally not your money. We say this until we're blue in the face, Adam, don't we? Yeah. And to me, that's the reason it should be getting out of the bank. That's the main reason. It's not your money. Oh, and actually, Adam, you know now, you've had so many stories from people contacting you through Goldbusters saying, I'm trying to get some money out to buy some gold. I'm trying to transfer it. The bank is just putting every single barrier in place, and people are trying to explain it's my money. Yeah. In fact, the one that always amazed me is one guy rung up. He had I think it was about £100,000 in the bank, and he rang the bank and said, "Do you agree this is my money?" They said, "Yeah." "Do you agree I can do what I want with it?" "Yeah, you do whatever you want with it." "Okay, I'd like to take it all out in cash and pick it up from a local branch." And they said, "You can't do that." He just said, "Well, this is pointless." This is pointless. They're saying one thing and then they're doing another. So, okay, next question we've got. Is there a way that you can create limit orders and trade metals? So I think what this person is kind of the background they're coming from is more of a trading background, where you would say, if the price hits this point, then I want to get in and buy some. That's not something that we do. Again, this is a long-term, more of a hands-off approach, set and forget. So yeah, not something that we do. I'm sure there's something, there's all sorts out there. I'm sure you'll find something.
but make sure it's the real metal. Make sure it's actually backed with metal and you're owning it. Someone's asked here, is there any value in having some silver shares as well as silver? Here's my thoughts on the stock market and having shares. And this is maybe oversimplistic, but what I really struggle with is swapping paper for paper. You're swapping your paper money and you're getting some paper. And you're rolling the dice with that company. So if you buy physical metals, you're rolling the dice with the precious metals market. That's what you're doing. You're taking a bet. You're saying, look, I think this paper money is going to go down quicker than this precious metal. Okay, this is going to go up. This is going to go down. Fine. When you do it with a company, you're rolling the dice on that company as well. Not just the value of the metal. The value of the metal could go up. It could go sky high. But if that company doesn't manage its expenses and manage everything that goes with a company, which a mining company, there's a lot of components, there's a lot of moving parts, then it becomes very difficult. There's more elements. We just like to keep it so simple. We're very simple people. If it was complicated, we wouldn't be doing it. And yeah, we just like to have the metals themselves.
The real deal, and it doesn't. Yeah. It's like it doesn't matter what happens to our company. It does not matter. That gold is always in your name from day one.
Yep.
So it's all linked to you, but with all the paperwork, it's yours. It does not matter what happens to our company. It's so simple, isn't it, Adam? So simple.
Yeah, really
simple. That was one of the main points that we looked for, because we spent months and months and months and months trying to find a bullion dealer to work with, and they had to tick all the boxes. One of them, the main one was, if something happened to the company, what would happen to our gold? Yeah, like I say, this gold, the only gold we deal with is physical gold, and it's in your name from day one. It's signed by you, as per the contracts and what have you. It's all yours, not the company's. So it doesn't matter what happens to the company.
Perfect. Someone's asked they'd like more information on investing in gold. I would say go through our YouTube and BitChute videos, and you'll hear us chatting away about gold and silver. That will give you the best idea, and talking about how they can get out of debt, which is a good point to talk about our video tomorrow. I know we've mentioned it a couple of times. In this video tomorrow, we are going to be, it's called Confessions of an Ex-Banker, because the way we learned about a lot of this stuff was from an ex-banker that showed us behind the curtain of how banks work, how they make money for themselves, and some really key principles that you can put into your own life, your children's life, your grandkids' life, friends and family's lives, so that they can work in your favor, not against you. Really, really powerful things. And time is the biggest thing. So the earlier you can do this, the better. So yeah, watch that video, and I think you'll have to probably watch it maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because we're putting so much into it, and we're, again, not blowing our own trumpets, but it can make a huge difference. Simple principles making a big difference.
Well, it does, mate, doesn't it? It does make a difference. We've seen it.
Yep, for sure. So someone's asked here, how can I secure and be sure that my investments are really there if they're online? If I can only see an account online, how do I know?
Well, the first thing I did to check out the company that we work with was I bought some, sold some. I bought some, got some delivered, went and got it checked out, make sure it was a real deal. You just put your toe in the water, don't you? And just try it out. I say this to everybody that approaches me, everybody. I've had people coming to me with like £50,000 and things like this, though, and I said, look, just buy a little bit first so you can see it all working, get confident with it, and then you can do the rest. You don't have to put it all in at once. It's because you're going to be nervous, aren't you? People are going to be a little bit nervous if they haven't done it before.
Of course,
it takes time, and it's just building up that trust. But yeah, it's just toe in the water. I would say to everybody, just toe in the water first and see it working. Make sure it's a real deal. But we've been going 12 years now, Adam, haven't we?
Well, yeah, we've been
over that now.
I guess we've been in the financial world for that amount of time. So yeah,
but we've been around for a while, right? And our company has awards through the roof. They've been awarded through the roof, haven't they?
yeah,
For what we've done today,
yes,
and they're very well respected for what they do. So.
yeah.
But we just said to people, go and do your own research. You should never believe what we're telling you. You should go and learn it for yourselves and go and do your own research.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we've gone through the questions that we've had sent in. Some of them were duplicates. So we'll go through the questions that have been asked since we've been on here. There's been some good ones. I think we've covered some of them, but let's have a look. So there's different vehicles of buying metals, and in each country, those vehicles are very different. There's different laws, rules, retirement vehicles, pension vehicles, IRAs, 401ks, SIPs, SASs, they're all called different things. So some people are asking, do you recommend buying precious metals in these types of vehicles? It really depends. I think the purest form of buying metals is that you can control with your cash, that you can decide what happens to them. You can manage them. You can sell them when you want. You can have access to them when you want, how you want, in the amounts you want. So I would say that's the best option. After that, if you have a choice to put your pension money, your retirement money, and it has to stay in if it has to stay in this vehicle, this tax deferred vehicle, and you have an option to put it into physical metals, then yes, it can be a good idea. But the devil's in the detail with all of this stuff. So speak to someone that knows how those vehicles work. We're not pension experts in the UK, and we live here, never mind all the other countries and all how they work. So please speak to an expert who knows how they work, because the worst thing you can do is rush into something, jump into something and you don't know the other end. You can get massively stung. We think start with the end in mind every time. Start with, what does it look like at the end? How can I make the best scenario at the end, and work backwards?
They always seem to be complicated, Adam, don't they? And we believe they're complicated for a reason. So people don't bother themselves to try and learn it because it's complicated. It used to drive us mad in the army trying to understand our pensions. We'd just go around in circles and what you can and can't do and what you get.
Someone's asked about the other videos. So all of our videos are now all up to date and on our YouTube and BitTube channels, just Goldbusters. You can check them out there. We are putting other videos on there as well during the week. So not just the interviews and stuff we're doing with Charlie, which is amazing, but other videos, some things we were going to expand on, some things we're going to go into more detail, just some other thoughts as we're speaking to people, and some feedback that we're getting, just so that we can keep in communication with you via these videos. Some of them will be long, some will be short. So yeah, please do check those out, because it will, again, you have to hear this stuff many times sometimes for it to really grab hold and be meaningful to you.
Anything that we feel of value that's going to put more money in your pockets and help you, then we'll share it on there. So there is going to be other things that we talk about as well as precious metals, other things that we share. Because if we help you do one thing, you make more money, then you're going to buy more metals anyway. It's going to benefit you. We can all win, can't we? We can all win. But anything of value, we're always looking for things that's going to benefit you, and we always do it first, Adam, don't we?
Yeah.
we always do it first. I mean, I've done everything first. I've made all the mistakes, and then I've helped my family do what I do, and they've done really well out of it because they haven't made the mistakes, because some of the mistakes have been quite expensive.
Yep.
But there's still, I know for a fact that I'm far better off now than what I would have been if I didn't make them mistakes. People, the masses generally think all of this is risky. It's like they thought investing in property was risky, investing in precious metals was risky, or crypto was risky. I think it's riskier doing what everyone else does. I believe it's riskier doing what the 95% of people do, which is have the money in the bank and just go on, have a job, put all the money in the bank and hope for the best, and rely on a pension which you have no control over. That's risky. That's risky. Please tell me if I'm talking rubbish, but I honestly believe that's risky.
No, I think history shows that.
Yeah.
Do you have to specify it in your will, or is it just part of the estate? Again, with the specifics of a will and trust, we know wills and trusts are very powerful things and they work very well together, but we're not experts in it. So we'll signpost you and say, yes, go and speak to someone, and make sure, again, with a will and a trust, you don't want to be cutting corners. It's something that can have a massive impact on your family in a good way or a bad way, depending on how it's set up. So, yeah, not to dodge that question, but it'd be wrong of us to just, to try and guide you on that more than we actually know.
Well, there's so much to trusts for number one. People ask us about trusting it, and there's so many different ways of setting up a trust and what have you. And you need to speak to somebody that specialises in it. We specialise in the precious metals side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we used to point people in the direction in the past, didn't we, regarding wills and trusts and what have you. And we knew quite a bit about it, but again, yeah, we don't want to be going on. You haven't got the brain space to learn this and be specialised in this, and the brain space to specialise in that and that. Yeah, we just stick to what we're good at.
Yep. Someone's asked here, does a Glint card transaction cost much? I'm not sure on the exact specifics. I'm sure they're not doing it for free out of the goodness of their heart. I'm sure there is fees. And I guess do your research with anything. With all of this stuff, we always say, look, do it with your eyes open and make sure that the devil's in the detail a lot of the times. So just look into it. Okay, another question here. How easy is it to open an account for a child? Is it controlled by the parent? Yes. So very easy to open an account for a child. Just as easy as opening for an adult. The account is, you can't sell any metals or get anything delivered until the child is 18 and they resume control over it. So it just protects the child and the metals that are in it. So yeah, a lot of people do that, and we think it's a great idea because time is the thing that you're looking for. You want to do it as early as possible. The longer you've got, the more these metals can grow, and the more the paper money is going to lose value. So you get this kind of widening effect of money losing value and metals increasing, and that's just the time thing. There's no real getting around that. We'd love gold and silver and all the metals to go to the moon and to and do it overnight. That doesn't happen historically. So it's time that you want on your side. We'd love to do that. We'd be out there partying with you if that happened. But yeah, just a time thing. Someone's put any news on Basel III gold revaluation. So Basel III was put on hold because of COVID. This is, again, not a quick moving thing. Banking regulation or regulatory framework never moves quickly, like anything with the banks. So I believe it's still on course for the end of this year, beginning of next year, but we'll have to see. We don't know. It's a big thing that's being implemented. I guess with all the mess and the way that countries' finances are in at the minute, you don't need another thing thrown into the mix. So I think once all this COVID stuff has calmed down, then they'll probably give it the green light, and and then metals will be worth 100% of their value on a bank's balance sheet, which will be very interesting. Someone agrees that armed forces pension schemes are mind-boggling. Yeah, I think all pension schemes are. My mum's going through just looking at NHS pension, and it's changed so many times, and you've got certain percentage from this contract and a certain from this, and this is weighted best of your last 3 years, and this one's your average over a certain amount of time. So confusing.
During my 22 years in the army, it changed. Well, it changed twice, and then it was changing a third time as I was leaving. And it wasn't changing for the good. It was less
Yeah,
money in our pockets, not more money.
I was just going to ask you, was it changing for the better? But
Definitely
yeah.
not. So
So
we used to talk about pensions in our seminars, Adam, didn't we? When we were talking to people physically, we used to run a lot of seminars. And we used to talk about pensions and talk about the history of pensions, where they started, why they started, and blah, blah, blah. But we got to the point of why we're talking about pensions. We don't believe in them. You have no control.
Yeah.
Personal control. Why bother? Right. We shelved them, especially when we come across precious metals and started learning more about precious metals. We just thought that's the best pension. Assets, 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 assets. Land, property, precious metals. And just it's a very wealthy guy. I can never remember his name. It was like 20 years ago, not more, probably longer than that now, actually. But I was chatting to him at an event, and he said to me, he just said something to me, and I wish I understood him back then. But he said, just don't have money in a bank. If you've got savings, buy assets, buy things that you think are going to go up in value over time, or at least hold its value. At least hold its value, but don't keep your savings in paper money. But did I take any notice back then? Nope. I wish I did. I wish I did. But it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense. Especially land in the UK, flipping out land. Oh, yeah. But it doesn't cash flow, but it's somewhere to put if you have got money that you don't need right now, it's unallocated, get it into something, get it into some assets. And that's what we do, Adam, isn't it? Anyway, it's just what we do.
Perfect. Well, look, guys, thanks so much. We've managed the time a little bit better on this webinar. We've not gone half an hour over like last time. And thanks so much for joining us. I hope it's been of value to you. I hope you've got something out of it. For us, selfishly, we really get a lot out of this as well. We really buzz off seeing your faces and interacting and answering questions. And so it's really good for us. What I would say, as we've said quite a few times, check out BitChute YouTube channels. We're putting loads of stuff on there. You can keep connected with us on there. And if there is any way we can help you, just get in contact, goldbusters.co.uk, and we're more than happy to have a chat with you and help you however we can. Even if we just say, look, this is not our field of expertise, let's point you in the right direction. But maybe a little bit old-fashioned, but we just like to have a chat with you and see what's right for you. And then we go from there.
Yeah, we got another thumbs up from Janet. Thanks, Janet. Everyone
we got some thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wave it at us too.
Thanks,
now.
guys. Thank you very much.
I'm loving this. Yeah, it's really appreciated, guys. We really appreciate it. We love what we do. So we just want to help you. And if we can, we will. It's as simple as that, you know?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, have a great rest of the evening. Have a great weekend, bank holiday weekend in the UK. So that's all good. An extra day. And well, I'm sure we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one. Cheers. Bye-bye.